Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Alan.
My name is Alan Palais, and this is the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown. I am a member of the congregation and will be leading the service today. We are a congregation that welcomes all, Black and white, gay and straight, liberals, conservatives, atheists, theists, mystics, and rationalists. All can find a home here because UU Principles and Culture supports and celebrates a diversity of personal identities and a diversity of ideas. Our 7 principles, which are the foundation of our denomination, promote ethical behavior, compassion, respect for the environment, intellectual freedom, and spiritual growth. Our culture supports the idea that wisdom can be found in many sources, in the sciences, in the arts, in the humanities, in the religions of the world, and in the arts and in one's personal experience. In addition, we are not permanently tied to any theology or ideology, but are always open to the possibility of change as we learn and grow. But one thing does not change here: the loving kindness we offer one another. With these values in mind, we consider a wide array of topics at our various Sunday morning services, and we have a wide array of speakers, including guest ministers, members of our congregation, and lay leaders from outside our fellowship. We are now ready for announcements. Any announcements today?
Good morning. So, Lori, I'm not sure if it's on, but our friend, UUFB friend, Judith Van Beek, introduced me to this organization called the Healthcare Partners of Canada. And they make little tiny 5 or 6 inch dolls for health kits, medical kits that are sent to countries that are war-torn or struggling with excessive need. And so anybody here who's interested in helping us to make these little 5 or 6 inch dolls that get put in as packing material into the health kits that the doctors use, and then when they come across a child, they gift them one of the dolls and the kits. And some of these children have haven't had no other toy since their first toy. So, if anybody's interested in contributing, we'll be collecting them, and I have some extra copies of the instructions.
Hi, I'm Monica. I just wanted to thank everybody who was involved with our ornament event yesterday. It went really well, and we had a lot of fun. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Don't eat the cookies.
Yeah, don't eat them. They're not gonna be.
Any other announcements? Now we come to lighting the chalice. To accompany the lighting of the chalice, I'm going to read a poem written by Leslie Takahashi and adapted for our purposes by our guest minister, Reverend Kim Wilson. As we light our chalice here in this place of peace, may we find hope. As we light our chalice here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. As we light our chalice here in this place of rest, let the unrest in our hearts turn us towards justice. As we light our chalice here in this space, made sacred by memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years. I'd like to now invite Reverend Kim up to the podium to continue with the service.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here this morning. Our opening words come to us from Sherry Woodbury. Out of the din of the city, away from the noise of the crowds, we come to rest in this moment, in this place, set apart from the never-ending to-do lists. We come to the warmth and the stillness of this sacred hour. You have chosen to be here. Something in your life led you to be here, now. Whatever tasks and cares await you, now for this brief time, simply rest. Allow your soul to be nurtured. Let the waves in your mind and heart gradually subside as you come home to yourself, holy and whole. Come, let us worship together. And I invite us to open our hymnals to hymn number 116, which is a gift to be simple. You may rise as you are able, or remain seated if that's more comfortable. I'd like to invite Monica up for our story for all ages.
I'm the substitute for RE for this month, so bear with me. Nice, thanks for that. Okay. This book is called I Am Peace, a Book of Mindfulness by Susan Verde and art by Peter Reynolds. I'll hold it up.
Can I ask you to use the mic?
Oh, sure.
What? Just need to make sure that's on. It says it's on. Okay, that's not good. Okay, let's try this.
I'll just talk really loud. You guys hear me? Yes. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Hello. This is called I Am Peace, a Book of Mindfulness by Susan Verde and art by Peter Reynolds. There are times when I worry about what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor. Being carried away. I give myself a moment, I take a breath, and then I tell myself, it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet and steady myself. And start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle, my mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. can share kindness with others, I make a difference. And this is a picture he's dropping a seed from his seed pack. What do you think's gonna happen? He dropped the seed.
Seed might grow.
Yeah. It's growing. Into a beautiful tree. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes in the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath fill my whole body. I tune into me. Now the water is still. I have found my anchor and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others and hope that it's carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. You guys, if you want, you can come with me to RE, okay? Come on.
Let's take the children out to their classes. And we're going to enter into a time of meditation now. And we're going to begin with Spirit of Life, and we can remain seated and just listen. We can sing. We can sing and listen. Let's enter into a time of silence now for about a minute of silent meditation. And I invite you to tune into your body and to notice your breathing. Feel the expansion and the contraction of your lungs and your ribs. Feel the air going in and out through your nose. And if your mind wanders, when you think of it, you can come right back to your breath. when breath catches in the crisp night air, and sight turns to stars, mind to moon, silence asserts itself, breathing the beauty of night into being. Silence, beauty, breathing beauty alive. Each new night, without effort, without planning, turns eyes from task to sky, feet from stride to stillness, thoughts from next to now. Each new night turns endings into beginnings, holds its splendor in the awe of silence, in wordless, voiceless reverence. The ancient night knew each eve, turning the proud to humility, the sure to wondrousness, the clamorous to quiet. The noise of days recedes into a gentle, dark embrace, exhaling into crisp silence, held by night, new and old, embracing new beginnings again. And those words were written by Bill Neely.
Thank you, Carly. Our fellowship has existed for 55 years because over those years, our members and friends have generously contributed to our community the considerable knowledge and labor needed to build and maintain our physical structure, the vision, imagination, and creativity to create our programs, the compassion and love to make us feel at home, and the hospitality to welcome new people into our community. That is a lot. But at this time of our service, we ask for one more ingredient that is necessary to keep this good thing going: additional financial support. I thank everybody for the support you have given.
So I'd like to share with you now a portion of an essay called The Holy Pause by Christine Walters Paintner. We are all suffering from time poverty in a culture that worships productivity and accomplishments. We become hostage to our calendars. In his book, Time Wars, Jeremy Rifkin says, "We have surrounded ourselves with time-saving technological gadgetry only to be overwhelmed by plans that not be carried out, appointments that cannot be honored, schedules that cannot be fulfilled, and deadlines that cannot be met. What is the purpose of managing our days more efficiently if we don't understand the meaning of our days? When we feel trapped by no time, we have lost touch with the eternal. We feel victimized by our lengthy to-do lists and day planners. When we view time from a linear perspective, we feel as though we're hurtling toward our own untimely ends. Organic time, on the other hand, is cyclical and sees periods of destruction as making the way for new growth and possibility. Autumn and winter always lead to springtime. The purpose of most spiritual practices is to simply arrive right here, right now. And for many of us, it will be the longest journey we ever take. Let's join in singing now hymn number 90 from All the Fret and Fever of the Day.
Thank you.
renowned Buddhist meditation teacher Jack Kornfield graduated from college with a degree in Asian studies. He immediately left the country for Thailand and became a monk. For 5 years, he lived in a monastery on a remote mountainside, meditating for hours each day. In the summer of 1972, he returned to the East Coast for a visit with his family. He made plans to see his twin brother and his sister-in-law. With his shaved head and wearing his long robe and carrying his bowl, he took the train from D.C. to New York. He was to meet his sister-in-law at Elizabeth Arden's beauty salon. Right, I know, you're looking ahead, aren't you? She had a gift certificate for a full day of spa care there, including facial, hairdo, massage, and whatever else they do in those places. So he goes into the building, right? And this receptionist opens her eyes really wide at this strange-looking man, says, "Can I help you?" Well, he explained that he was looking for Tori Cornfield, and she directed him to the 4th floor, where she said there was a waiting room with a couch. So he goes up there, and he sits on the couch. No one else was around, so he decides to sit cross-legged and just meditate, as he was used to doing. Well, after some time, he heard some giggling from the hallway, and then a female voice. "Is he for real?" Well, so he opens his eyes, right, and then he sees 8 or 10 women dressed in Elizabeth Arden nighties staring at him. Many had their hair in rollers, some of them had green avocado smeared on their faces, and others were covered in mud. He looked at them and he heard himself say, "Are they for real?" And then a multitude of uncomfortable feelings arose. In this moment, Jack realized that he would somehow have to reconcile the teachings that he had received in Asia with life in the modern world. He decided to stay in the US, but now the insights, revelations, and deep awakenings he'd experienced at the quiet monastery in the forest seemed far away in the hustle and bustle of Western life. Jack realized that in spite of all his practice, meditation had helped him very little with coping skills and the emotional maturity he needed to deal with the real world. He says, "I was still acting out the same painful patterns of blame and fear, acceptance and rejection that I had before my Buddhist training. Only the horror now is that I was beginning to see these patterns more clearly." He'd used the strength of his mind to suppress painful feelings, and all too often he failed to recognize that he was angry, sad, grieving, or frustrated, or just maybe feeling awkward. He says, "I was forced to shift my whole practice from the mind to the heart." Now he was beginning to embark on the long, difficult process of reclaiming his feelings. To open deeply, Cornfield discovered, requires tremendous courage and strength. The source of this courage and strength is the heart. It is the heart that lets us, as he says, face our lives directly, our pains and limitations, our joys and possibilities. Our courage and strength allow us to engage with love and acceptance, those parts of us we tend to deny, our greed, a sense of unworthiness, rage, paranoia, grandiosity, for example. And then beyond these forces, we begin to experience wisdom. Wisdom. We all want to be wise. There are many aspects of wisdom, but this morning I'm going to focus on 5 basic components and how we might develop those. Wisdom includes, among other things, kindness and caring, emotional equanimity, self-understanding, tolerance of others, and tolerance of uncertainty and ambiguity. And we'll come back to these. There are many different roads a person could travel to reach this place called wisdom. Always we need courage and strength. It's a state of stillness that allows for transformation and change to occur. It is here that we can perch long enough to suspend everything we think we know. We need to be able to pause long enough to reflect and to connect with our hearts. Our culture is all about do more, be more. It doesn't support the notion of being still, of pausing in order to reflect. But if we are to grow and change and develop spiritually, it's absolutely necessary. When we stop to reflect on our lives, on things that have happened, on what feelings are arising, it gives our brains an opportunity to sort of untangle and sort through it all. Often this isn't easy and it's sometimes painful. But as we reflect on our observations and our experiences, we can consider multiple perspectives and interpretations. And from these, we create new insight and new meaning. As Minister Karen Herring, she's a UU minister, she writes in her book, Trusting Change. Habits and activities that make space for personal growth, for love, and for connecting with the sacred and others are often considered to be spiritual practices. I like to say that spiritual practices are known by their fruits, activities and postures that awaken us to the ground of our being and to the pulse of life within us and around us. A spiritual practice will deepen our relationship with the sacred source of life by whatever name we know it. One thing all spiritual practices have in common is that they invite us to pause, to be still. In that pause, they direct us toward a heightened awareness of the present moment. And as past and future fall away, a gap opens in between them, an opening in our thinking and our feeling that makes room for something new. A momentary resting of the ego and its insistence on control. And even at times, a sense of kinship with all that is beyond time and space. And this is sometimes called a unitary experience. This morning, I'm going to focus on the practice of meditation as a path to wisdom. And there are many different ways to meditate. I'm going to talk about insight meditation, also called mindfulness meditation. Does anybody here meditate? Wow, a lot of you do. That's fantastic. Well, insight meditation is an intentional way to cultivate all 5 of these components of wisdom that I mentioned. This is the kind of meditation that Jack Kornfield practices and teaches. With insight meditation, we sit and notice what thoughts and feelings arise, and then we work with them. We reflect on them and explore their possible origins. We learn over time to remain non-judgmental of ourselves and whatever arises. And of course, this is not about perfection. It's about practice, and hence the term spiritual practice. During meditation, we cultivate kindness and gentleness toward ourselves. This is a foundational practice and the first aspect of wisdom I mentioned earlier. As we gain an attitude of acceptance of ourselves, we find it easier to attend to the present moment, and we begin to feel more kindness and compassion toward others. The second aspect of wisdom is emotional equanimity, or homeostasis. As meditation teacher Tara Brach explains, the brain has a negativity bias built into it. It's designed to protect us. It has a survival function. We are programmed to continuously scan our environment for danger, for what's wrong with this picture. So we tend to react when we sense that there's a problem that could affect our well-being. But often that primitive reactive part of the brain is overactive, alerting us when it doesn't need to, making us worry unnecessarily. Meditation helps us stay calmer and less reactive. I found this to be true in my own meditation practice, although I still have a way to go. Meditation increases our awareness. It allows us to explore our thoughts and feelings and ask ourselves, where do these come from? From there, we can gradually gain greater insight into the origin of these thoughts and feelings, thereby increasing our self-understanding, the third aspect of wisdom. Tolerance of others, the fourth aspect of wisdom, relates directly to the non-judgmental quality of attention that we cultivate in meditation. Meditation teacher Matthew Brensilver explains that through meditation, we learn to hold our views and our opinions more lightly. He says, mindfulness practice familiarizes us with our own habits, emotional patterns, and attitudes. As we do so, we encounter numerous qualities that ignite our judgment of ourselves. The mindfulness instructions ask us not to disown any aspect of our experience. In the process of meeting our own foibles and weaknesses with kindness, tolerance for others is enhanced. And lastly, tolerance of uncertainty and ambiguity. This is a hallmark of wisdom and is also an outcome of meditation practice. Research has demonstrated an inverse relationship between mindfulness and intolerance of uncertainty. In other words, the less mindfulness practice, the harder it is to tolerate uncertainty. And boy, that's a skill we could use right now. In other words, So anyway, as we practice attending to the present moment, we let go of our mental projections into the future. More and more, we find ourselves able to keep our focus on the richness of the present moment. The quality of presence itself becomes our ally, says teacher Heather Sundberg. As this happens, we build the trust that we will have the capacity to face the future, whatever it holds, with courage and strength. As Jack Kornfield discovered, we don't become wise by simply withdrawing from the world and meditating for hours on end. Rather, ironically, it's through engaging with the often crazy, chaotic world that we are able to bring all of who we are into meditation. In this way, we find a sense of inner peace and clarity that we can then carry back into the world and our daily lives. So while meditation is a solitary practice, it's really about connecting with others and connecting with the rest of the world and all that is. As we practice stillness, we develop these qualities of wisdom over time: kindness, equanimity, self-understanding, tolerance of ourselves and others, and tolerance of uncertainty. As we do so, we gain spiritual maturity, which includes a sense of the sacred that is both integrated and personal. Integrated, meaning we cease to make a division between what is sacred and what is other. And personal, in that we honor our spirituality through our words and our actions. Our personal life is our spiritual life. We owe it to ourselves, to those around us, and beyond, to be still and to cultivate our wisdom so that we can bring more light and compassion into this world, a world which needs them so very much. May it be so. And now I invite you to open your hymnals to hymn number 83, Winds, Be Still.
Grace
let's join now in saying our unison closing words in your order of service. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings.
Now we will extinguish the chalice. We end this portion of our service today by extinguishing the chalice. While the physical light goes out, may the light of this service stay with us. Now I invite Reverend Kim to conduct joys and concerns.